Just a few weeks ago, one of the creators of Destiny 2, Mathew Ward, said he'd actually like to see people complaining that there's too much story when it comes to the game. What a prick. But when it comes to gaming, can there be such thing as too much story? Personally, I can't really get enough of these stories, like when you're going through Witcher 3 Novigrad, you're picking shit up, quest pops up side. Gaz, what? Wake up, dude. It's a video. So let's have a look at some of the ways developers can push a story a little bit too far.
Way back in 1979, the deluxe edition of the arcade classic Space Invaders featured the world's first cutscene, which appeared during an interlude between gameplay. Since then, non-interactive cutscenes have become one of the most popular tools in video game storytelling. Now, you'll have a hard time finding a game without at least one cutscene, and quite a few games are saying that some games have just way too many.
Cutscenes give the player a break from actually playing the game, and it pushes the story forward in the same way a film or a TV show would. It gives the players a chance to take a rest and watch the story unfold. In the 90s, cutscenes were almost a reward for your hard work. You got a rare cutscene every few hours of gameplay and got to witness some amazing graphics. The Final Fantasy games for the PlayStation 1 had some notably impressive cutscenes, and they were a real treat if you ask us.
That's an impressive cutscene.
Ooh, look at the cutscene on that. But what's the excuse for games like 2008's Metal Gear Solid 4 featuring over 8 hours of cutscenes in total? That's 8 hours of gaming time spent, well, not actually playing the game. Games are growing, and there's now scope for some real cinematic stories and experiences. But do gamers actually want to sit there and watch cutscenes every 5 minutes? Or, you know, actually do stuff?
Budgets have been growing in 2017, and developers and publishers have been hiring top talent to voice characters for the games for years now. 2010's Fable 3 was notable for pulling in the star power with the likes of Ben Kingsley, Simon Pegg, Stephen Fry, Michael Fassbender and John Cleese, to name just a few. So with a rising trend in celebrity appearances in video games, are developers losing sight of the fact that this is actually a game and not a summer blockbuster?
I always remember playing Final Fantasy 7 and it was like triangles and squares, and that's what the characters were made out of. It looked so bad, and then every now and then you'd get a cutscene and you were like, oh what? It's like, how can they make the PlayStation look this amazing? And now I'm playing a game and it's just like, let me carry on playing, let me carry on playing. I'm tripping over myself. I don't care, Horizon Zero Dawn. Stop show me cinematic spears. I want to go and kill some dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's how I feel now. I feel like they're just oversaturating it with like, just sit still and watch the game.
Have you played Persona 5?
I played Persona 5,
Oh man, that game totally killed it for me with all the like dialogue, storytelling. It was boring. I couldn't skip a whole chunk. I had to skip one line at a time, and it completely de-immersed me from the story itself. I've got no connection with these characters and with the high school kind of drama that's going on in their lives. I want to get through that shit and I get playing the game. That game's over 120 hours long just because I'm clicking the fucking button the whole time. I don't get it.
Texting your mates, innit?
Yeah, I just don't get it. After you've beat the final boss in Metal Gear Solid 4, you've got 71 minutes of cutscene, okay? That's longer than many films. A full one scene is 27 minutes. That's the longest cutscene in it.
27 minutes? That's like longer than an episode of Friends.
It's longer than some longer than some of the walking simulators that you've played is 71 minutes.
It's true,
I mean, that's just too much for me. I couldn't sit there. I mean, and if you skip through it, you miss the story. Okay, the cutscene might be put together well. I played Metal Gear Solid 5, and just to even wake up at the start, I've got to sit there and go through an interactive cutscene for like 20 minutes.
You can tell stories without that, like Inside or Limbo tells the whole story through you playing it.
There's like blurred lines though, isn't there? Like, like sometimes you can interact with the cutscene. Metal Gear's like one of them classic ones. Hideo Kojima's like famous for his cutscenes. He's big into his films.
In fact, like he's clearly inspired by Hollywood and stuff like that. Like we were just saying about Fable having like Ben Kingsley and stuff. Death Stranding's got Mads Mikkelsen in it, and like Emma Stone, and it looks like he is really trying to make this a cinematic experience. It's probably going to be good, but come on, Hideo, how long am I going to have to sit through your fucking... I don't want to do it.
So cutscenes are one thing, but how many times have you bought a game and been promised hundreds of hours of gameplay, only to find out that 80 hours of that gameplay is just side quests? Dragon Quest, for example, a landmark RPG by Enix, as in one half of Square Enix, back in 1986 was one of the first games ever to feature side quests. When you think of side quests, you think of escort quests, fetch quests, the help the villagers quest. Some call them slave quests. Others just call them busy work. But whatever you call them, side quests can easily overwhelm you as a gamer just because picking up an item off the floor can add yet another side quest to your journal and a marker on your map.
Whereas some people find these added details immersive, others struggle to connect with the game entirely if they've got too much to do all at once. Side quests can quickly kill the momentum of a game when you actually realise you're not even playing the game anymore and you're just reading virtual books. And that's not very fun, is it? Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of that one game with the plumber in a red hat, was famously quoted when talking about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, saying, "There may even be times where you forget what your goal is because you're doing other things." And the question is, does that even sound good to you or not?
When your side quests become side quests and they give you side quests and there's just too many side quests to deal with and you forget what the main quest is and it's like, what the f am I even doing in this game? Like, you might put it down for a day or two and you come back and it's like, where am I? Like, what am I doing? I'm chasing some woman? Why am I doing all this shit? I can't even remember.
Getting lost in a world can be good if you're doing awesome things like killing dragons, but if you're picking up turnips to help some woman make a soup or whatever, it's normally shite. Just at least let people make their own way in the world without everyone like hollering you down. Help me with these turnips, find my frying pan.
We've got to make a distinction between too many side quests and in-depth side quests. They're not like just fetch quests.
Side quests can be awesome. Oblivion's Thieves Guild quest is better than the main quest. Heads and tails, fight me IRL if you don't believe me on that. It's f***ing sick. Honestly, side quests can be some of the best surprises because they can come out of nowhere, you'll follow a quest and it'll go somewhere crazy. For the most part though, using it as filler, it's a no-no.
So cutscenes and side quests are just some of the ways a game can get accused of having too much story. But what about if the entire game is based around telling a story? Games like Telltale's The Walking Dead or so-called walking simulators like Dear Esther or Gone Home are based entirely on telling the player a story and feel more like an interactive novel than a game at times. These games certainly have their audience and you can always find a story-heavy game at the top of Metacritic's highest ranking titles year after year. But for some players, there is just too much traipsing around and listen to a story unfold than actually living it. And hey, that's okay for some people.
But these stories are the whole purpose of the game in question, and not simply an afterthought tacked on in order to bump up the hours of content meter, which, as we've already touched on, can overwhelm and confuse players. Without the story, there wouldn't be Dear Esther or Gone Home. The whole thing is just that. A story. So is that too much story, or did a shortened length of these experiences help to get the balance just right? So I know what you're thinking. Oh, a minute ago you guys were just saying you hate it when there's loads of cinematics, and now you're talking about a game that's all cinematics. Well, behave, because there is a big difference. These whole games are just made to be told as stories that you walk your way through. It's not a game that promises you action, because that's the problem. When a game has story, it's in the way of this action. On Metal Gear Solid, I want to shoot people's heads off, and I've got to wait and stop while I'm in a hospital bed and there's some flying fucking whales made out of fire. I don't like that. But games like this, it's a whole thing as story. But I love these games.
Yeah, you love your walking simulators, don't you? Because they immerse you in the story, they make you a character, and you live that story, and that's part of the appeal of the walking simulator. That's different to something like Metal Gear Solid, where the gameplay itself is the point of the game. That's what you want to do. You want to play the game. Like, there are games where story is the point, and there's other games where action is just distracted by bullshit story. That's just like, you just cut that out and just give me some gameplay, please.
We've really thought about it, and The Last of Us, probably the best balance of this, because whenever you talk to somebody about The Last of Us, no one talks to you about the gameplay. Everyone says, oh, the story, or Joel and Ellie. But the whole thing is an action game, right? And the game is good. As a game, without the story, it's good. But it kind of got that balance perfect. Like, people who want to play a game get to play a game. People that want to experience a story get to experience a story, which ultimately stays with them for a long time. Games like Telltale's The Walking Dead, there's a lot of people I know that can't even sit through it because it's just yes, no, maybe, silence.
Turn around the battery, put the thing back on, press on the radio. You know, there's not that much gameplay to it.
The gameplay is actually the worst part of that, isn't it? If it was just story, it'd be a lot better. Because yeah, fumbling around for batteries is proper shit in that game. I don't like it at all. But yeah, so is that too much story? Or in Walking Dead's case, is it too much gameplay? That kills the momentum of the story for me. It's a discussion that's worth having, and that's why we want to have it. Some people play games just to be the best of them. Some people play a game because they want to be really sad at the end of the game, like in What Remains of Edith Finch. Whatever it is, let's just get a conversation going, why not? Huh?
So has the prospect of too much story ever put you off buying or playing a game in the past? And what's the best story in a game that you've ever seen? Let us know down in the comments below. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. There's another video for you to check out on your screen here. You can support us on Patreon if you are awesome, and we will see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.